Hey, Joy Olson from Blockbuster Fundraising and talking about marching forward. Wow, have we marched forward in technology the last 5 or 6 years? Can you believe it? And things are definitely changing around the globe, and things are changing right here in the United States for nonprofits. So imagine how excited I was last week when I saw this new report, the Global Nonprofit Technology Report. That's techreport.ngo if you want one for yourself. And it's an annual research project that seeks to gain a better understanding of how nonprofits are using technology. So it's got to be interesting to you. It's certainly interesting to me. And it's sponsored by the Public Interest Registry, and it's researched by Nonprofit Tech for Good. And the report summarizes how nonprofits are using the web and email communications, online fundraising and fundraising tools, social media, mobile technology, and data management and security software. So it's really interesting. I'm not going to get into all of those, but you do have the link to get the report and go over this. But we're all so interested in our website and our email communications. We know what a huge difference it is making. So the key findings of this research report is that nonprofits began their transition from print to online communications in the early 90s. And organizations such as Amnesty International and the World Wildlife Fund launched their first websites in 1992, and shortly thereafter began to experiment with using email as a mass communication and fundraising tool. So that's been around a long time, 1992. Wow. Well, at that time, websites were being built using a rudimentary HTML, and group emails were sent BCC or through listservs. Things were very, very different then. And in the nearly 3 decades since 1992, web and email communications have become the most powerful online communication tools that we have as nonprofits to inspire. Indeed. So we use that philanthropy. We use it to create awareness for our missions and our programs. And the foundation of web and email communications is the .org domain extension, which, according to the Global Trends in Giving report, is the most trusted domain extension worldwide. Aren't you fortunate? You have .org. You are automatically thrown in there with the most trusted domain extensions worldwide. I think that's pretty cool. Well, every web page published and email sent using .org reinforces the credibility of the .org brand, as well as the credibility of the 68% of the nonprofit organizations, the non-government organizations, and charities worldwide that use .org. For the million-plus nonprofits expected to come online for the first time in the coming decades, their first step to building a credible online brand is to decide which domain name and extension to use for their web and email communications. In the early 2000s, non-government organizations started to upgrade to content management systems to publish their website. They're called CMSs. Now, excitement in 2003, WordPress. We know WordPress. We love WordPress. And WordPress is a CMF. And guess what? It is now used by 44% of nonprofits worldwide. And during this time, nonprofits also began using email marketing services such as Constant Contact, and MailChimp. And currently, only 8% of nonprofits continue to send email updates and fundraising appeals to their donors and supporters using BCC. That seems archaic, doesn't it? Yes, it does. So, today, 92% of nonprofits have a website. And of those, 87% are mobile compatible. So important. Early websites and email were designed for desktop and laptop viewing. But hey, today your websites and emails are designed for a global internet user base that is predominantly mobile. Wow. So I mean HTML and WordPress. By 2010, the designs had changed to mobile responsive, and they've enabled us as nonprofits to easily shift to mobile compatible web and email communications. And really, it is so important because that is where everyone is going, to their phone, to read their email, to search for more information about you. Hey, it is what is happening now. As you can see on your screen, here is at a glance the web and email communications. As we already talked about, 92% of nonprofits worldwide have a website. 38% are doing a blog, and 87% have a mobile compatible website. They're mobile friendly. Interesting how they send their email updates and fundraising appeals. 63% use an email marketing service and 15% through a CRM. I think those CRMs are pretty invaluable. And the average number of email subscribers, small organizations, 7,300, almost 29,000 for a medium nonprofit, and 63,000 for a large nonprofit. Be sure to download your own report right here. Okay, so for online fundraising, their key findings in this report is that the early adopter nonprofits that pioneered web and email communications were also the first to embrace Donate Now buttons. PayPal and Blackbaud launched their first online fundraising tools in 1999, and there were many fundraising services that, like Network for Good, that arrived in 2000 and 2001. So sign-up costs and donation processing fees were higher in the early years, but they are now becoming more streamlined as organizations have hopped on this technology, and that is good news for all of us. So the Donate Now buttons and the online donation pages are huge, and they're out there. So now let's get to specifically what's working best for everyone right now, okay? Today, 72% of nonprofits worldwide accept donations on their website, and 63% regularly send email updates and fundraising appeals to their donors and supporters. Credit cards, PayPal, and direct debit are now the most acceptable forms of payment. As donors increasingly prefer to give to online fundraising campaigns created by family and friends, nonprofits that have invested the resources necessary to experiment with peer-to-peer fundraising will continue to reap the financial rewards for years to come. And the data in this report also reveals that 47% of nonprofits participate in Giving Tuesday. So as awareness about Giving Tuesday expands globally, the Giving Tuesday movement will continue to grow, so says the report. And online giving has grown an average of 8% annually for the past 5 years in the United States. Excellent online practices, from thoughtful web design to active social media stewardship, are now fundamental basics for successful donor engagement. Hey, okay, let's look at online fundraising at a glance. As you can see, 72% of nonprofits worldwide are accepting online donations on their website, and 33% utilize an online peer-to-peer fundraising service. I think that's really important and interesting. Accepted payment plans, 80% credit card, 47% PayPal. 33% of donors worldwide have donated to a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign. 1/3 of donors. Wow. And 18% of donors have created a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign within the last 12 months. This seems like a trend, and it is one that we should take note of. An attaboy is deserved right there. 91% of donors agree that nonprofits effectively express gratitude for their donations. Good work. Let's talk then about the social media key findings, okay? The rise of social media began during an era of the internet that the peeps in technology have coined a Web 2.0. While Web 1.0 is defined by the static, non-interactive web experience of the 1990s, Web 2.0 is characterized by dynamic, interactive web experiences, such as conducting a personalized Google search or posting a status update on Facebook. So this is a changing world from static to dynamic. And it is so important for all of us to use social media. The people that began experimenting with social media around 2003 through blogging, they primarily used Blogger. And at the time, blogging was a radical shift in content strategy, and it was considered risky for a nonprofit to open themselves to public comment. The irony is that now, 15 years later, nonprofits crave comments and engagement on social media. And today, 38% of nonprofits regularly publish a blog on their website. And even more impactful upon our nonprofit sector is the rise of social networks. Gosh, some of them have come and gone, like MySpace, popped up in 2003. I think it's gone. Facebook, 2004. Wow, what growth. YouTube, 2005, and Twitter in 2006. Can you believe it? I just think it's been so much fun to be in development these past 10, 15 years. I mean, the last 6 or 7 have just been so exciting. Well, who were the early nonprofits that got involved? Well, the Humane Society and Greenpeace. They began creating pages on MySpace and YouTube in 2005, and then Facebook groups in 2006, and now it looks like groups are becoming more important than ever. Your Facebook group, even more so than your page right now, because Facebook wants the interactivity. So this is an important piece of your development, your fundraising program. Really, I mean, in truth, the early adopter nonprofits, they were active on social networks long before the idea had even occurred to government institutions and corporations. So today, social networking is an integral part of your communications and fundraising strategies. Okay? Now get this. 93% of nonprofits worldwide have a Facebook page. 77% have a Twitter profile, 56% a LinkedIn page, and 50% have an Instagram profile. I'm finding that lately, Instagram is rapidly becoming more important anyhow for businesses because of the stories and what they're doing there. But even more telling is that 71% of nonprofits agree that social media is effective for online fundraising, and 25% of donors say that social media is the communication tool that most inspires them to give. Wow, that is important because that's what our job is all about, inspiring them to give. You know, it hasn't been easy for nonprofits. The report says it's taken a decade for nonprofits to learn how to use social networks effectively for branding and advocacy. Fundraising has been a challenge, and it still is, but demographic changes and donor insights indicate that social networks are on track to become very powerful fundraising tools. Worldwide have a Facebook page. And how often do they post to their Facebook page? Interesting, 25% do one post daily, 23% only every other day, and there you see the facts there. 30% have a Facebook group, and this seems to be an important trend and a change you may want to make due to the changes that Facebook has made with their pages. And many of you will find that you have the capability of linking your page directly to a new group page. The average number of Facebook followers, 8,700 for small organizations, 32,000 if you're a medium-sized nonprofit, and a large nonprofit garners 109,000 followers. Good work. You know, important here is that 25% of donors say that social media is the communication tool that most often inspires them to give. Major point. And 62% of those donors say Facebook is the most inspiring. Okay, social media at a glance. 32% of nonprofits worldwide have written a social media strategy. That's important. And 95% agree that social media is effective for online brand awareness. That's something we all are concerned with, is our brand awareness. And 71% in this study agree that social media is effective for online fundraising. As you can see there, social media, Facebook pages, 93% by far the most popular. And a Facebook group, 30%, and of course you see Twitter and YouTube, 77 and 57% respectively. Drop down and you see that 80% agree that social media is effective for recruiting volunteers. Maybe that's something you hadn't thought of previously. And 78% of those in this study agree that social media is effective for recruiting event attendees. Important for all of you having your big spring event coming up soon. That's exciting, right? Okay, now let's talk about what they found in mobile technology. Their key findings: the release of the first Apple iPhone in 2007 ushered in a new era of nonprofit communications and fundraising. The iPhone's innovative design and unique touchscreen technology made it an instantaneous bestseller, and today the iPhone remains the highest selling smartphone in the world. So by 2009, your early adopter nonprofits were launching their own iPhone apps, which consisted primarily then of an RSS feed of their blog and a link to their website's donation page. While lacking in creativity, the first generation of mobile apps developed for nonprofits for iPhones, they failed miserably. But now apps are being developed that donors and supporters tap to open, and they are not as much of a challenge. I know a lot of nonprofits are getting apps for their event. It's a personal decision, and it's one that you have to budget because apps are expensive to develop oftentimes. But by the early 2010, the nonprofit sector was also experimenting with using bulk SMS to distribute urgent news, updates, and calls to action. And this has been a big switch. Of course, most of us in the nonprofit world think that we really need to have permission to be able to use instant messaging. But things like the devastating earthquake in Haiti in 2010 really gave rise to text-to-give technology. And for the next few years, nonprofits were eager to experiment with SMS and to text-to-give campaigns. But then by 2014, most of us were losing interest. Like the first generation of mobile apps, the first SMS and text-to-give campaigns failed because nonprofits lacked a comprehensive mobile strategy. You gotta have an online strategy, and you've gotta have a mobile strategy. In mobile apps and in text messages, nonprofits were linking to the web and donation pages that were not mobile compatible. Talk about being ineffective, and that irritates people too. It irritates your possible supporters and donors when it doesn't work. So currently, only 15% of nonprofits worldwide regularly send text messages to donors and supporters. But the report says in the future, it will be interesting to see if innovation in SMS and text-to-give technology can renew our interest in doing this. So today, the world's top mobile apps are social networks and messaging apps, namely WhatsApp. WhatsApp has just become very popular worldwide, I think a lot more so than here in the United States. But Facebook, Messenger, and Instagram, all owned by Facebook. Wow, the messaging app Snapchat is popular here in the United States too. So without a doubt, messaging apps, and did you think about Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Snapchat as a messaging app? Well, the report says they are, and without a doubt, messaging apps and messaging payments are the next frontiers in mobile communications and fundraising. Wow. They say now only 18% of us are using them, but that number is likely to increase dramatically, predicting a trend there. I mentioned the WhatsApp. It's really interesting. It transformed how nonprofits communicate in Nigeria. So it's really being used for advocacy and information sharing throughout Africa. And it's really sparking a whole second wave in the mobile revolution. So that is an important area that's for growth and excitement. Mobile technology at a glance. 18% use messaging apps to communicate with their supporters. Not a whole lot, really. And the messaging apps that are used in this study, 64% WhatsApp. It's a major player, especially globally. I don't think yet a major player in the United States, but 58% Facebook Messenger is very strong. You can see there the average number of WhatsApp followers, 559 small up to 3,600 in large nonprofits. 15% of worldwide nonprofits say they send text messages to donors and supporters. Not a whole lot, not a great big old percentage. And 43% of those that do, they use a text to give service for SMS fundraising. Effectiveness ratings, and we're going to put this up on the screen. Which are the most effective communication and fundraising tools for nonprofits, as determined by this report? So the survey respondents, and there were 5,352 of them, 164 countries and 6 continents, and almost 50% of them were from here in the United States. All right, so they were asked to rate the tools listed below, and you will see them up on the screen, as either 1, very effective, 2, somewhat effective, 3, not very effective, or 4, ineffective. Okay, so let's look at website first, because we know how important your website is. 34% of the respondents said very effective. Let's look down the list quickly. The only thing that's up about as high is 33% social media. Hey. And then look at video, 32%. So I think right here, you need to be upping your social media game, you need to be upping your video game, and make sure that they're linked to your website. Interesting, let's look at the email. The email updates, 32% effective. That's pretty darn good. The email fundraising appeals, 21% effective, but 43% somewhat effective. So I think that by looking at this effectiveness rating, see what you think. Look down there at print fundraising appeals. 24% very effective, 36% somewhat effective. Think that it's very hard to ever take away from direct mail. Still very, very important. Peer-to-peer fundraising, 23% think it's very effective, 33% think it's somewhat effective. But 21% and 23% think it's not very effective or ineffective. So when you get this report for yourself, it'll be fun for you to compare. What do you think? Brainstorm with your staff. Are you on the road to great technology in your own organization? I certainly hope so. I personally love technology. I love to fundraise, but I have just been mesmerized and so excited with the technology component of development and fundraising. Hey, Joy Olson here, Blockbuster Fundraising. So good to see you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your interest. And remember, every Tuesday we go live 1 p.m. right now, Pacific Standard Time. We'd love to have you here. And if you want more fundraising information, everything that we have is free. And everything that we produce is hopefully something that will inspire you or help you remember an idea that maybe you're not using, give you a brand new idea that you think, oh, I'm going to try that. Our YouTube channel, we have over 300 free fundraising video tips. So take us up on inspiration, fundraising inspiration right around the corner. JoyOlsonGroup.com, BlockbusterFundraising.com. It was fun. I love technology. I hope you do too. And I hope it's helping you raise lots of money for your great cause. Bye-bye and thanks.